Another line that Vegas had, or DraftKings, excuse me, had for um, our one of our other bigger games, NC State. Clemson is an 8.5 point favorite against NC State. Obviously, NC State has made some noise in the transfer portal. And Grayson McCall, they get Coastal Carolina's former quarterback, Grayson McCall. He's over there at NC State now. NC State, for the past few seasons, have just been bringing in transfer quarterback after transfer quarterback and just trying to make it work. It hasn't worked for them quite how they wanted it to in the past, but I do believe Grayson McCall is a good quarterback. I think NC State had a good season last year. Obviously, they beat Clemson. That was an unfortunate game for us. Not a fun game at all.
No.
But I think they've made some improvements, particularly at the quarterback position. But what was your thoughts on the 8.5 against NC State?
Honestly, I was kind of surprised it was more than a touchdown. To be honest with you, just because the perception of NC State heading into the season is that they've made a lot of roster upgrades. Bringing in Grayson McCall is a big deal. He's I don't think he's some elite playmaker, but he's a smart football player, and he's gonna have better weapons to work with than say Devin Leary did. And they've done a lot to kind of revamp that wide receiver core. They have consistently been really good defensively, so I kind of expect more of the same, even though they lost some pieces from last season. So I thought it would be shorter. I thought it would be closer to a touchdown than more than a touchdown. But that's I think that's also a testament to the respect that Vegas has for Clemson's home field advantage.
Right.
Again, they don't lose many games at home. And so that probably played into it. So I thought it was going to be a little bit closer, but that definitely could change. All of these could change as we get closer to the season. But for right now, I would probably set it a little bit closer to a touchdown, but I'm not. I think it's close. It's okay. That's a fine line.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Grayson McCall, he's obviously, he's a baller. He's a guy that just his best plays are made off script. He's just one of those guys that kind of find a way, and those tend to be the guys that defenses struggle with, right? Because you call a good defensive play, and somehow he escapes the pocket, and they do scramble drill, and suddenly the ball's behind you, right? So you always got to guard against that, but I have full faith sitting right now. This obviously could change. That's a pretty good line. You got to consider, how tough Clemson is at home. You mentioned it. We just don't lose very often at home. It's a tough place to come play. Clemson plays very well. The crowd is always a factor when you're in Death Valley. So all of that stuff obviously is going to factor into those lines, and we'll see how the first part of the season goes, right? And that line probably will change due to how NC State looks, how Clemson looks, how the season's shaping up.